Welcome into the Holton Ahlers Show. Pops joins the show on the other side of the break, the founder of local politics. We'll get to it after this. Hope you enjoy the show. If not, as always.
Holton Ahlers turns, and Holton will take off and run himself. He's at the 40-yard line. Holton Ahlers to the 30. Look at him go! 20, 10, 5, touchdown Pirates!
There's local politics, bud.
It's showtime!
Yes, it is. And if you notice the voice at the end of that, it's because
it's showtime!
Because he's right here joining us. Dad, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry you couldn't get the 5 or 6 other people that you wanted to have on today, but I'll be glad to help you out.
That's not true. People have been asking for you for a while now, so I had to get you on.
Why?
Because you're a legend. Look, 30 years. Let's get into your career too, though, because not just we'll get into our relationship, obviously.
Sure.
30 years, I think, 32 years in basketball, and how many in football? Get to that. What are the
34?
years?
This will be my 34th year for basketball and 20 for football.
That's crazy. So explain how you got into it, because it's still a crazy story to me. It's wild.
I was doing the morning show with Jeff Diamond at W94.3 at the time. It was WRQR, and Jim Bass and Matt Maloney. Jimmy just retired from UNC Wilmington. He was the director of marketing here, and Matt Maloney was his first year here at East Carolina.
Dang.
So he's been here 34 years.
Big guy.
The big guy. And they wanted to really spice up basketball, change it a little bit. The trend in basketball is more entertainment. And took us to lunch at the Old King Sandwich, which used to be over by the stadium. Mm-hmm. It's not there anymore. Had lunch, had a King Club, and said, we want you to do men's basketball, Morgan. We want you to do women's basketball, Jeff. And we did. And we just had fun doing it. And it's seen a lot of
bad basketball.
Not so fun basketball. I'm not going to say bad. Okay, bad basketball. But at the same time, there's been some big wins over there and some fun times. And when that Coliseum is full, and you've seen it, I used to bring you guys over there from when you were little kids. I'd bring you up there, and you guys would sit up there with Dr. Siegel's wife, Miss Lynn Siegel, would keep you up there right behind the bench, and probably from the time you were 2 years old on. And there's been some good times and some bad times over there, but it's been a lot of fun.
I love going to the basketball games. That is one of the most underrated things. I can't wait for ECU to be good because they're fun. Like you said, those are my core memories. Obviously the football games were great, but basketball is just such up close and personal. You get to see the athletes, and then I remember being terrified of Petey, and you whispering to Petey to go over there and talk to me and be like, Dad, come on, man, I'm scared of him.
Yeah, Petey used to go over there on purpose to see you, and eventually it broke you of your fear of Petey because I got pictures of you with Petey.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. And then football. Get into how you got kind of asked to do that and how you got into that.
John Seymour was the voice for 15, 16, 17 years. He was the guy that started the First Down Pirates.
Uh-huh.
And I had been doing some pregame radio shows for probably 10 years prior to me taking over the PA. And when he retired because he had some health issues.
Uh-huh.
So the year, I want to say it was 2000 and, I don't know, 20 years, so 14, 10, 4, 2004. I'm bad with math.
2014.
Yeah, 2004 I think it was, when John Thompson was here, was his second year.
Oh, good Lord.
Had a couple guys that were doing it, and the last 2 games of the year, they couldn't make it. And Terry Holland said, can you come over and do it? And, yeah, I did those games. Never done the football games before. And
how nervous were you?
Not really.
That is
about as
insane,
nervous as I am in here right now. I'm petrified.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
No, I mean, the way I look at it, and I've screwed up plenty.
Yeah.
But if you screw up, I know you know. But if you screw up, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You just got to keep on going. And, I've stumbled over words, and, oh, well, people won't forget it. There's never been a perfect football game from a marketing, advertising, any game like that. There's just not. But the whole key is to keep the mistakes to a minimum, just like playing.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a perfect quarterback out there, but you can get up there and you got to put a bad play out of your mind and make the best play the next play.
Morgan Ahlers / my dad, brought to you by Anson Belt. Dad has been begging for an Anson Belt for a while. I'm going to have to get him one. True Pirate Company, we say it every single week. Micro-adjustable holeless belts fit to all different shapes and sizes. If you lose a bunch of weight, if you gain some weight in the winter, which we all kind of get a little pudgy then, it'll fit you in all seasons of life. Interchange the buckles, interchange the belts. The style's perfect. Caden, you're a big fan of them.
Yeah, huge fan of them. You know what's crazy about an Anson Belt? An Anson Belt can fit me, you, or Morgan Ahlers all in one. So
that is true.
They're flexible. They're flexible. If that's even a word. Yeah, flexible. I said flexible. But go with Anson Belt. They can fit you, fit the gang, and you can share them around.
And we talk about getting a little pudgy in the winter. Look, everyone does it. But when summer comes back around, you got to get in shape. You know how you get in shape, Caden? You eat better. You know how you eat better? You go to Clean Eats. Every single meal there is elite. Most meals there are under $8. They got good shakes. Made to order food, frozen food. You can meal plan with them, everything in between. Look, I say it every single week. Eating clean is tough. Go to Clean Eats.
They taste good. They're good food. It's like eating real stuff. I don't know if they still have the brisket. The brisket was one of my favorites I ever had. Like he said, groceries are expensive. Go to Clean Eats, under $8. Tastes great. Can't go better.
All right, so that's your career in that. I want to ask, act like the cameras aren't here, how much did NC State offer you for me to go there?
NC State?
Yeah.
3 bushels of corn and a weed eater. Honestly, that's the funny thing. When the day you signed to go to East Carolina, the tiebreakers, this is how much I was involved.
Well, at that point, I was just like, look, I don't want any stress. Florida offered me. Yeah. We were walking in tiebreakers the night before signing.
Well, they were talking to you after the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They were really hot on you after the Shrine
Mullen
Bowl.
just got the job, and obviously Tim Tebow was my role model, and they were like, Mullen. I remember Coach Mullen calling me, the head coach there, or was the head coach there. He just came from Mississippi State, Coach Dak Prescott, Dan Mullen. He was the head coach at Florida, just got the job, and he called. He was like, look, I coached a pretty good lefty. He was the OC and the quarterback coach when Tim Tebow was there at Florida. And he was like, you can be the next Tim Tebow. We'll let you wear 15. I'm going to get Tim Tebow on the phone. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be, I would love to be the next Tim Tebow, but no one's ever, he was my hero growing up. I'm like, no one's ever going to be Tim Tebow again. That wasn't a good recruiting pitch. He probably thought it was, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I remember going to the Nike Combine. Mm-hmm. I think it was in Charlotte. In Charlotte. And they had Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Sam Hartman was there. You were in a group with 11 players, and all 11 were, D1 commits. I mean, it was a pretty big class. Of course, they had their MVP award at the end of the thing, which Trevor Lawrence won. But it's funny because he was filming the stuff for the MVP before everything happened. So I don't know. He
was a stud, though.
It was fun. But I remember you getting in the car afterwards and basically saying that, Dad, I can play with any one of those guys.
That was
but I want to go somewhere where I can play.
Yeah, to show that I could. Yeah, and that was honestly ECU. I mean, I had offers from ECU. I had offers from a lot of people then, but that was my first eye opener of I can hang with these guys, but I need to be given an equal chance to do it. And that was ECU almost won me that day because I was like, I know I'll play at ECU, and I know if I'll play, I can go show what I can do. Mm-hmm. Whereas all these other kids were going to these massive schools, they were the high recruit guys. And I was a high recruit until I committed to ECU, shocker, and then I got bumped down to a 3-star. But that's where that day really opened my eyes of I can really actually compete with these guys. I just needed the chance to get out there and actually play.
And you said that coming. I mean, as soon as you got in the car,
yeah, you
said I can play with these guys. But I said I've got to go somewhere where I can play.
Yeah,
and it was fun to watch, and fun to watch you when you played here.
Yeah,
fun to watch Caden when he was here.
It was absolutely. Caden, what do you got?
I appreciate that. I had a nice run signaling the other day. Saw Coach Houston. Coach Houston mentioned the signaling.
Is it true that Coach wants you to come over there and work on the signalers?
God, I would love to.
They're helmet mics.
I would do it in a heartbeat. They still need the signalers.
I know.
That honestly. People ask me a lot, what do you miss about college football? Mm-hmm. And, everyone misses the guys. I hated practice. I really did. but I miss those game days of just being locked in, sitting in the plays to Holton, hearing Donnie, hearing Coach Peterson up in the box. And
well, you don't realize though, if you, and I don't know what the signals were. You guys got pretty creative, but if you wiggled your right arm instead of wiggling your left arm, you've screwed things up.
Yeah, that's
so
why
you got to be on your game.
Yeah.
And people don't give you enough credit for being on your game.
I agree. And when the kingmaker of Greenville himself comes in here and says that,
I'm telling you,
I appreciate
local
it.
politics, Mr. Politician himself.
My question for you, though, is what year did you start, calling the shots for the football program? Was it before Holton was here, or it was
It was when I started getting recruited. That's why I got offered.
Well, Ruff and I talked. Ruff's a good friend. I've known Ruff since he played here, okay? And I've known Ruff for a long time. And I said, Ruff, my boy's coming up. This is when he's playing, we were undefeated in flag football. I mean, this is a big-time deal, okay? People don't realize how good we were in flag football as 6, 7, and 8-year-olds. And that you need to offer – and, Ruff's going to, I'm going to Google it up. But, he did. I think it was Coach Smith came over, wasn't it?
It's Coach Wiley.
Coach who?
Wiley.
John Wiley?
Yeah.
And offered him, and Ruff called me right after that and said, we just offered your boy. Never told me ahead of time.
This is from flag football?
No, he's 8.
He was 8. Yeah, he was 8 years old.
So you started in with Ruff, and then how did you break into the Coach Houston regime calling shots there?
When we flew up on the plane to interview him, I said, look, here's the deal. You got to consult me with all these things. I don't know. People say some stupid stuff. Just like that. That was a stupid thing to say.
Well, Pops, what are your thoughts on me and Caden joining the Fifth Quarter Call-In Show this year?
You guys are going to have fun. You're lucky it wasn't last year. That's all I'm going to say. Because I've actually done the post-game show in the past. And when they win, it's fun. Mm-hmm. But there's still people, regardless of what happens, are going to be idiots.
Shocker.
And it really is. And that was, that was the hardest part, like when you were playing. I mean, I listened to the post-game show, but, regardless if you win or lose, there's still people there's people that are true fans, and there's people that are, think they're the Nick Sabans of the world and know better than everybody else. I mean, you guys were out there. It's not like you're not trying to win the game.
Trust me, I know. If Caden would have gave me the right signal a couple of times, I would have thrown like 75% less interception. So I have to have him.
We might have actually won more.
Well, if I'd have consulted with Coach Houston prior to the game to get the right play set in and sent down, from my PA booth.
All right, I got a question from Twitter, since one of our fans added us because we didn't ask enough of the Twitter questions, even though we asked half of them. Chance Scott says, what was one of your favorite memories from the voice, Jeff Charles? Rest in peace.
Jeff, I got to know him over the years, and he was such a good person. I mean, I knew Jeff when he first came in. There was a gentleman by the name of Frank Gardenia that was doing it before him, and when Jeff came in, he started doing the coach's show, and the radio station I was working at was producing the show at the time, so I got to know him a little bit. And, some of the calls, and you hear it back now, every game's on TV. It's on ESPN Plus or whatever. So people, I don't think, listen to the radio as much unless you're in the car. But, when Jeff started out, and up until probably 5 or 10 years ago, you listened to the radio broadcast. And he was such a professional. I mean, he was such a professional. And I still remember the Peach Bowl year when, you can paint these peaches purple.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's just a moment that, around here, that was one of the big deals. And he was such a good person, a good guy, and his wife Debbie, and they went through a little some loss in their lives, and how they rebounded from it, and how we supported the community. Jeff Charles is just class act.
One of I haven't talked about it before on air, honestly, but like he was always very genuine. Like growing up, obviously an ECU fan around you. Like I was around him and met him a few times, but our relationship really grew because he had the radio show right after games, and we would go into. So like I would always talk to the media after games. Really for 4 years, really 4.5 years, I'd be the guy that one of the players talked to the media after games. After wins, it's great, it's awesome, everyone's in a good mood. After losses, obviously it sucks. Like shocker, it sucked. But Coach Houston would always talk first, and while Coach Houston was talking, the players who were going to talk next, usually an offensive player who was usually me, and then a defensive captain, you'd wait in the hallway and you would go ahead and do the interview with Jeff Charles and you would talk to him. So, like, I will always cherish this. After wins and losses, like me and him, he would just be sitting usually in like the tight ends room. It's just a room about this size, just me and him. And before they go on air, like we decompress. Like I just got done with a very stressful job, win or lose. The losses I almost appreciate more. And now that he's passed away, I look back and I'm like, dang, I wish I could just tell him like, thank you for talking to me during those times. He was the first person I legit talked to that wasn't like the team after losses and after wins, like home especially. Like he'd be the guy in the room, be like, look, dude, you tried your hardest. Like keep your head up. You're a true pirate. Like he would just be always the one. And like I've never even said that on air, and I hope fans appreciate that about him. Is like he was always just so genuine and so pure. And I wish I could have told him thank you for that. I never got the opportunity to, obviously.
You just did, because he's going to be listening to this show.
That's right. Dang. Well, that was a great question. We haven't talked about him enough. He's in our intro, too. One of the things I talked to you about the intro when we decided about the show, I said I want you in it and I want him in it. And that was like the two things that, and we have little jokes in there about local politics and all that, but you two obviously mean a lot to us. It's a Pirate Nation, too. So thank you for that. Caden, you got anything?
Wow, you got me off the stump right there. How do you follow that up? I guess one question I had for your dad, and I really was thinking about it lately. You think of your Al Michaels, you think of even Jeff Charles, all these, announcers or radio hosts, and they're such unique voices. Is that a God-given gift, or do you work on that? Just curious.
I've always been able to talk, and I mean it's true. I mean, I joke that I've been DJing now. I'm 60 years old. I've been DJing since I was 18. I was kicking people out of bars. It was drinking age was 18. I was kicking people out bouncing when I was 17, and I realized real quick that the DJ was over there. He didn't break up fights. He didn't have to pick up garbage. He could sit there and have a beer during the night if he wanted to, and he was hanging out with the women and the girls. I'm like, dude, I want to do that. And I had a place at the beach I was working. The guy was nice enough to teach me how to do it, and then I met a guy there at that club the same about a month later that worked at a radio station, and said, man, you need to come work at the radio station with us. So started doing that, and I don't know, it's just fun.
Do you think it's just someone coming out there naturally talking, being themselves, and people just listening, really liking what they're having to say, and then their voice becomes unique? Or is it,
I think you over time sort of get into it a little bit more. Like when I'm doing the games, obviously I'm projecting more than I'm doing right now. I mean, the Showtime thing that you hear at the beginning of the
electric.
Show. But some of the things that I've done, I didn't want to do the first down Pirates just like John Moore did. Mm-hmm. So I've changed it up a little bit, tweaked it a little bit. And then I added the ARG.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get into that. So, like, how did you come up with that? Because that's it's a huge thing now. How did you come up with that? What is the origin of that?
I think it was probably my second season, maybe, doing my first full season.
You should have trademarked it.
Somebody else had ARG. I think some pirate did it.
No, I'm sure ECU does.
But it's one of those things that I started doing it after touchdowns and big plays. And it got to the point when East Carolina left Conference USA, if you remember, the last year, they wouldn't let me do it. The conference came out and said, you can't do that, which was really weird because they were sort of punishing East Carolina. So I didn't. Yeah. Everybody got mad that I didn't do I could still do the first down Pirates, but I couldn't do the ARG. And then we went to, in the new conference, they said you could do it. But everybody says, when do you do it? We want you to do it. I said, after big plays and touchdowns and when I feel like it. So.
Let's talk about a big play. The video of me scoring my first touchdown in 2018 versus UNC. Someone was videoing you, and it was just a really cool moment. It went viral. I think
it was Billy Weaver.
Yeah.
Billy was and it's funny because when that happened, I saw him in the press box and where we were, and he's never in there. And I didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
And, they put you in the game at the goal line, and you scored that. You went in and scored.
What were your thoughts when I went in? Oh, shit.
Yeah, pretty much. But you scored the touchdown, and I still did the touchdown Pirates number. What number were you? 12 then?
Yeah, okay, Dad. Yeah, you didn't know.
You were number 12.
Had to look up the roster.
No, I had to check it out and find out who that number was. Guy down there was. Make sure they spelled the name on the jersey right.
And then you said Ahlers. You didn't even say Ahlers. You mispronounced.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. But no, then you had the long run later on that game.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most special moment that I've had.
Heck yeah. Dang, me too. That was really cool. How hard was it? And we've talked about this off air, that you've told me that it was easier to do home games when you were announcing because you didn't have to think. You couldn't think about it. Rather than away, you could think about everything that I'm doing.
And we went to most of your away games. There were a few that we didn't go to, but when I'm doing a home game, I've got all the scripts. I've got a notebook in front of me, literally, that everything that I read commercial-wise, here's your break. I've got to read this, and then the actual calling of the game is live, but everything else goes to either a pre-recorded announcement or something that I'm reading. So I've got things I have to do. And I think if you watch that video, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a little while since I watched it, but, I did read my stuff, and then I realized what happened. And so I remember taking my glasses off because I teared up and, went right back, put them back on, started reading again. Away games, all I had to do was watch the game, and sometimes it was miserable.
Thanks, Rob.
Especially your first 2 or 3. No, your first 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, you're telling me. I still feel the pain.
I felt bad for you. I knew you were going to hurt and get beat up, and your arms were black and blue. I was like, man, you're going to hurt after the game. I think I'm going to go back to the hotel and get me a beer. So.
You did see, though, like, those first years were really, really rough, and obviously they were rough on me, and I've been very vocal on the show that, like, it was hard for me, but, like, I almost felt I knew what I was signing up for, whereas, like, I felt bad for y'all because y'all had to, like, see me do it and then go out in public and answer questions and all that. How hard was it, like, when we committed, when I say we, I mean the family, you, me, mom, the brothers, when we committed, like, we knew it was going to be hard, but it was like, you may have known it was going to be harder than I thought, but, I mean, there's just, when you commit, it's all happiness and all that. But then when you go there and you go 3-9 the first year and the team sucks and you're losing and everyone seems like you hate you, like, it's tough. It's tough on the player, but it's also tough on y'all. And Cliff Godwin said last week, like, kids from Greenville, it's hardest to succeed because it's so hard to just get away. Well,
I think that, we talked about the post-game show.
Yeah.
You have 3 hours of people bashing you. You go online and, I will say this, and I'll say it publicly. I don't know if I've ever said it before. There were a lot of hateful things that were said.
Oh, I know.
I'm talking about hateful. I'm not talking about mean. I'm talking about hateful. Okay? By people that would come up to you your last year or two and want to be your best friend. I can remember sitting out in front of the field house after a game your last year. And there was a guy, and if I think I told one of your brothers, I think I might have told Peyton or one of your brothers, I think I want to go up there and just punch him in the face. I mean, I would, because he was up there. He was up there with his kids and everything, and he was one of the most hateful people for the last 3-4 years. I mean, never anything positive. And yet you walked out, and the first person to run up to you was him wanting to get a picture with his kids. And you did. And you took it, and you took the pictures. And
I know who you're talking about, too.
And, I was proud of you because I knew you, whether you read everything or not, I knew you knew. And, but I don't forget.
Oh, me neither.
I don't forget.
I got
when some of these people have come up to me since then and want to be, buddy, and no, I don't play that game.
Yeah.
Homie, don't play that.
Turn haters into believers. That's yeah, we did. We received a lot of hate. I mean, I received death threats. I don't know. I'm sure the family received death threats, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't fun those early years. It sucks losing. That's part of it. But you know what? It didn't bother me at all. Like I said, it bothered me that people were reaching out to you guys and saying stuff on social media, and I didn't like that. But you guys were tough too, and I'm sure I've told y'all tons of times, but I appreciate y'all for sticking with it too.
Well, another thing too is that when there were times early on, the first couple, maybe 2-3 years, you and I would go to lunch during the early in the week. I remember one time where we were at Tiebreakers having lunch, and I think it maybe was after Cincinnati game, and I mean your arms were black and blue, and you were just, I mean you could hardly walk.
Yeah, I remember.
And we were sitting there talking, and you said, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. Because I remember what you said. He said, it's Monday. It'll take me to Friday to feel better. to get so I can move again, and then I got to play again Saturday, and I got to do it all over. And there's nothing that I can do to make it any better right now because it was, the Georgia State game when you go out there and COVID year, I think it was second week.
People don't know this. Breaking on the show, but I broke my back that game.
You broke your back that game. But I remember going into the game. Okay, you guys, you had a pretty good offensive line. You had guys that Dante and all these guys that were going to be starting. Well, 3 days before the game, none of those 5 guys start.
Welcome to COVID.
And they're literally putting 5 guys out in front of you that haven't hardly even practiced. In the second play of the game, Holton's rolling out to his left.
No, I tried to roll. I didn't.
Well,
I tried to,
move.
But
then the defensive end on this side, who I think one of them is playing in the pros, comes rushing in and hits you square in the chest. And the defensive end on the other side comes from behind and hits him with the helmet in his back, and he looks like a human C. And that's where you get. That was a third down play. I still remember it. And every time you went down, my initial reaction was get up.
Get up. I still got the video. We'll have to tweet it out because and people don't even know that. I mean, there was rumors that I had back problems. That was my one thing was I never wanted people to know about my injuries. And I guess I should just say it now. We've talked about it. So
but you didn't realize you had a broken back.
I didn't know.
For 2 years.
It was like a year. I think it was 2021. Yeah, I just pretty much thought it was just normal back pains. Like you said, I didn't notice it during football season. I knew my back hurt, but my whole body hurt during football season. I'm sure you remember this, Caden. But then summer going into 2021, first week of summer, we did squats and I ran and we went outside for conditioning after. Both of my legs just went completely numb. And I was like, this isn't normal. I remember talking to Aaron Jarman. So I guess it was going into 2022. So it was 2 years.
It was 2 years.
Yeah. And I remember talking to Aaron Jarman and I was like, dude, my legs are numb. I was like, I think it's just normal back neck pain. He was like, that's not normal, dude. So I went to go get it checked out. Had 2 herniated discs and then had cracks or fractures, I guess, in a couple spots of my spine. And I remember getting the call because I went to go get the scans and all that and whatever at the doctor's appointment. And then I got a call and I wasn't with you guys. I was with Aaron and I got a call.
I was doing a wedding in Washington.
Yeah. And I stepped away and this is supposed to be, we hadn't made a bowl game yet. So the next year was supposed to be the big year. And I remember the doctor explaining it to me and he was like, look, you got a messed up back. And I remember his exact words were, if you don't get in a full back brace for at least 9 months to a year, your life is going to be miserable for the rest of your life. And I remember telling y'all that and you were pissed that he said that.
Yes.
Because I hadn't talked to the trainer yet. I hadn't heard anything and I'm just sitting there in tears.
Because he ended up calling us later that day.
Yes, and talked and we met with him. But I was just in tears because I was like, dang, man. And at the time, that was going to be my last year, was going to be my senior year. I ended up coming back for a 5th. But I was just like, dang, everything, we finally got to the point where, we had the team to make it. And then at the time, I'm like, gosh, my career literally might be over because, if I don't throw for a year, it's going to be different. We ended up meeting with Dr. Arman. Not a lot of people know this. The summer going into that year, I was in a back brace from about here. Can you remember this?
You look silly.
From, here to, literally under my hips. I couldn't move. I had to sleep in it 24/7 for all of summer. I didn't throw a football until a week and a half before camp. So I was rusty.
And it's funny because I heard, damn, he doesn't look like he's been practicing at all.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
I literally wasn't. So yeah, 2021, when you look at it was 2021-2022 season. When you look at that year, I started off slow. But it's no duh. Looking back, I'm like, well, no duh. I started off slow. I didn't throw a football for 3 months going into the season. I was very rusty. I couldn't I would ask if I could throw it in the bed, just toss the football on myself, and they were like, no, you can't do anything. And I would go out there. It was so miserable. And I never spoke about this publicly because it's I don't want people to know that. And I remember sitting down with you and Mom, with Dr. Arman. Or it might even been a Zoom call, but I remember the conversation, and he was like, look, this is what they're recommending, and it was the 9 months to a year thing. And I said, well, that's not an option. I'm playing this year no matter what. And we had to sign some documents saying we wouldn't sue if I messed up my back for that year. Mm-hmm. I've said Worth Chiropractic looked out for me in the past. Didn't tell you detail. He looked out for me. He kept me on the field, I promise you. 1-800-BACK-DOC. 2 convenient locations on Arlington Boulevard. Shout out to those guys for supporting the pod. Also, shout out to Wayne Hardy Law. Been in a car accident? You're going to be a popular person. Insurance adjusters, lawyers are going to call. Make sure you call Wayne Hardy Law. 1-800-INJURED. They'll treat you like family. Earl?
It's the Wayne Hardy difference.
Let's go. That's the Wayne Hardy difference. Next, our friends at Mattamuskeet Goose Club. We did our giveaway last week. We're going to continue with the giveaway. They keep sending us stuff. You guys are going to love this merch. We've already had really good feedback of it. Check out Mattamuskeet Goose Club. All their socials and our socials will be giving away their gear. Thank you for supporting the pod. That was crazy. How hard was it seeing me go through that side of it? Like, because I already know how hard it was, but just like kind of just talk about that.
Well, anytime you see any of your children or the people that you're doing and you love get hurt,
yeah,
it's not easy. I mean, it's not. From the time you're little, you don't want your kid to scrape his knee or do any. You know, as a parent, you don't want to see that. And then I knew your back was bad.
Yeah.
Your last year, when you hurt your shoulder against NC State.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because if you go back and watch any of the highlight packages with him,
it's in it.
It always shows that run, and nobody realizes that's the run that you came down really weird. You came straight down on your elbow and pushed your shoulder out. You know, I'm going like, okay, what's wrong? And he walks over and his arm's limp. I'm like, okay. My next question is, what arm is it? I mean, that literally when he got up, I was going, right or left arm? Oh, he's okay. You know. But you had that. I went back and looked. You had that happened 7 times out of 12 games.
Oh,
I know you know, but people I don't think really realize that
the pain,
your pain that you were in, but your pain threshold was stupid crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would have done anything and still will for ECU. Like that was one of the reasons. I mean, I had options to transfer throughout my career, and like that's something
that last year you had.
Yeah, and we actually, I mean, we would sit down and actually really talk about it, and especially those early years. Like I remember after a few games, like after losses, those early years, like I would come and see y'all literally after the game and be like, that was my last game playing here. Like that was miserable. I'm not playing here anymore. And like I would slowly get talked back into it, and the love. It wasn't like I didn't love the place. It was just like it was literally like I was getting crushed out there and miserable. But like you guys, all the family, you, mom, all the brothers, like always would just say like, stick with it. At the end, it'll be worth it, and it was. I'm very glad we stayed.
Your last year, we talked prior to you and saying you were going to come back.
Yeah.
And, you had opportunities. You could have went somewhere else and a Power 5 school or whatever the case may be and played. But we talked about is that coaches will sit there and tell you, and boosters will sit there and tell you anything you want to hear.
We've been told.
I know.
Mr. Indoor told us there'd be an indoor, and there's still not one. So
well, like today, they don't need an indoor this week. But you're out there and you're doing the things that you wanted to do. You came here with a purpose, and you and I talked before you committed. I said you're not committing to Scotty Montgomery.
Yeah.
You're not going to commit to Dave Dorn if you go to NC State. And look, Coach Dorn's been there and made a great run at it, and still probably going to be there for a while. You've got a great thing going on. But I told you, I remember, I said you got to understand, you're not committing to Scotty. You're committing to East Carolina.
Yeah, that was weird because like y'all helped me out with that a lot, because I remember just thinking like I didn't like. I mean, this. I didn't like Coach Mo or his staff and the recruitment. I just loved ECU. I loved Coach Dorn a lot. His staff was awesome, and y'all know that how much money he offered you guys. Yeah,
how much money?
Who
offered the money?
I'm just convinced that State did.
I will put the hand on the Bible to this. No, they didn't.
All right.
No, they didn't.
All right.
They really didn't.
He's got his toes crossed, guys. He's got his toes crossed.
No, I don't. No, I'm just.
People don't know, because the conversation comes up a lot when we talk about my career, and then obviously you being the PA announcer. People don't realize that State offered you, if I committed there, that you could have been the PA announcer there.
No, they didn't.
I was told that.
Who told you?
Coach Dorn.
No, I never had that conversation.
Well, I had the conversation.
Well,
I guess I just didn't tell you that.
Just like you never told me you talked to Dick Saban.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought he told you that too. Well, he told me that. So you could have been the PA announcer if I went to State.
No, if you'd have went to State, I would have been done at East Carolina. I would have gone to State to watch you play.
No, you would have went to State and...
No, I wouldn't have been the PA guy there.
Really?
No. Nope. I would have went there. I would have went there just to support you. I would have wore red and white. I would have done whatever that stupid little hand thing is, whatever it is. But I like doing that better.
Yeah.
So
we're glad we stayed here. Kate, what do you got?
Yeah, busy fall coming up. What are you looking forward to the most? ECU football games, the high school show. What are we looking forward to?
I love doing the high school show. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun talking with the coaches, and I really got that down. Shirley does a great job producing that show. East Carolina, I think East Carolina football is going to be a lot of fun this year, based on what I saw this spring. I think they're going to be really up tempo, as everybody's talked about.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be a whole lot better than they were last year. A whole lot better.
What's your prediction?
9-10 wins.
Are you serious?
Yeah. If they stay healthy. If they stay healthy, they can win 9-10
Just
games.
because schedule's terrible and they're going to be good?
Their schedule's a lot more conducive to a winning season than it was in the past.
Respect.
I just, it's just a busy time of year, Plus got a lot of weddings. If you're looking for a DJ for your wedding, call me.
What's the number?
252-814-6827. Or call the Holton Ahlers Show. And
do not say my number. Oh, gosh.
Holton Ahlers' number is 555-OU812.
What's the high school breakdown going to be this year, high school football, if anyone's
I think you got Havelock, New Bern going to be pretty good. Rose is going to be pretty good. Conley in the big Carolina Conference will probably be somewhere in the middle of the pack.
Okay.
South Central will be better than they were last year.
Big stars to watch out for?
Sure.
Don't know any yet.
I haven't got that far yet.
Okay.
That's just like
I'm
me.
jumping the gun on you.
No, you're jumping the gun. Next week is I'm actually scheduled talking to the coaches and getting their breakdowns on the players. I don't do too much homework when I'm doing a lot of stuff like that. Mm-hmm. By the way, I just got an Apple Watch. Okay, I'm getting a phone call on my watch. I have gone to the 27th century.
Dad, people ask. I know people ask you this a lot, and people have asked me. People thought you were going to be done after my senior year announcing. When is going to be your last year? Is this going to be your final year announcing PA for the Pirates?
Not unless they fire me. I enjoy doing it. Basketball at times is a grind. Okay? I mean, that was my first love. I've been doing it a long time. Played it. Know the game. Basketball is a grind at times. But football, as long as they'll have me for a while, I don't see stopping anytime soon.
Do you think you'll ever see a basketball team make it to the tournament?
Which tournament? The conference tournament?
No. The big dance.
I hope so. I've said this for years. Basketball can probably make it to the big dance quicker than football can. I mean, it takes a while because you've got to have a lot of pieces for football to have to fall in
with
place.
NIL now, like I've said it. I've talked to Team Boneyard actually about this. Just kind of shooting the crap, but like I've said that if you get $5 million, if you put $1 million into five-star recruits, that you would make the tournament. I know $5 million is a lot. I'm not saying that, but there is teams out there that are getting
$1 million into 5 players.
Yes.
Oh, sure you would.
The number. Okay. Well,
I don't have 5. I missed the lottery the other night by 6 numbers, okay? And if I would have done that, I would have given that.
But I'm just saying, though, like, seriously, I think that sounds crazy, but, like, I'm just putting it into perspective that, like, in football, you got to have a good quarterback, a good offensive line.
You got to have a lot of pieces.
Yes, a kicker, clearly, in my senior year. But,
wow.
But
no, he didn't. Yes, he did.
But no, seriously though, like you just need 5 players. Not even maybe. I mean, you could maybe put $3 million into 3 players and just say, "Go do it."
And they're teams that are spending that kind of money. But there's also teams that are going out there in their conference and they're making that kind of money with the tournament appearances and that those kind of things and the shoe deals and there's in football and this. What was it when NIL first came in your last year? I think. There's a guy that owns a construction company in Knoxville, Tennessee. Played football at Tennessee, played offensive line. He said if you're on scholarship at Tennessee, you're getting a $50,000 NIL deal for everybody that's on the offensive line and a free truck. Well, that's 3 or 4 years ago. Now what they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I know, for sure.
And it's crazy. But basketball can be fixed quicker than football can be fixed.
Yeah. What is your favorite memory behind the mic at ECU in both sports?
Your first touchdown.
Outside Holton.
Outside Holton would probably be the year East Carolina beat Houston in the Conference USA Championship here.
2008.
2008.
Yeah.
And funny because they say, you know, when you're playing a playoff type game, conference tournament, conference championship game, want you to be neutral. Okay, ask UCF if they're ever neutral down there.
Shocker.
So what I did, and they said, well, you can't do where it is a first down Pirates, and you know, the ARG, without doing something for them. So I said, okay, and did our first down Pirates, and the fans chanted, and then when they scored a touchdown, I said, where it is a Cougar first down. Of course, they don't know what to do. They're sitting over there with their,
they're like,
you know. So that's how we got away with that.
Respect.
Yeah, that was a fun time. In basketball, there's been some really cool games. I remember when Rick Pitino's team came in, we beat them. NC State came here when Sidney Lowe was the coach, and he came in with this NC State red blazer he was wearing, and he was coming out there like he was King Daddy. By the end of the game, he had taken it off, thrown it on the ground, and they went home with a loss. That was pretty cool.
Besides me, who are your top 3 ECU athletes of all time?
Wow. Basketball, football.
All time, anyone.
One of the guys that played when I played basketball, Mount Olive College was a junior college. I was supposed to play here, couldn't get clearance because my knees were bad. But one of the guys that played at Lewisburg, played at East Carolina, played with the Jazz, was Blue Edwards.
Oh yeah.
And Blue was here, I think, he finished the year before I started doing the PA, and shattered a backboard in one of the scrimmage games, which was kind of cool. Football wise, I like Shane. You know, you had Justin Hardy, you know, Dwayne Harris, and that group of guys.
Yeah, they were cool to us going to practice.
You know, Linville Joseph.
Yeah.
Who's got the greatest gig right now in NFL. He's going to wait until like week number 8 to sign a contract. I mean, there was one play last year. He got credited for a tackle, and Bill Johnson, who's your agent, who's his agent, and he sends me a text and shows me this thing, the addendum to his contract. For every sack he got $100,000. He says, "How about that?" You know, great deal, right? But no, there were some good guys. There were some good coaches.
Got it rough too. You and Ruff got a good relationship.
Yes, yeah. Matter of fact, he and Miss Earlene had an anniversary 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I sent him a message, and within a couple minutes, he sends back, "Thank you, my brother," and you know, hope the family's doing well. So
because I'd lost his number. We communicated through like Twitter and stuff. Like my senior year when he came here, obviously we communicated, but I'd lost his number, and that's how we got him on the show. If you guys haven't seen that episode, you need to go watch it. But that's how we got on the show. Is you called him, and then he was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, Ruff's. There's good people in this world, and then there's Ruff and McNeil.
Absolutely,
in my opinion, because he's at the top of the food chain when it comes to a genuine soul. And, you know, he should have never been let go here.
Yeah.
You know, with you know, it changed a lot of things, but he should have never been let go here. That was egos getting in the way of success. You know, you go through a season where your starting quarterback gets hurt. And I remember when you and I went up to Virginia for a visit.
Yeah, when he was there.
Ruff was there. He'd gone up to Virginia. And also, Kurt Benkert
was there too.
Was there, and we go in and we're sitting there eating, and talking to Ruff, and Kurt walks in and he says, "Man, I want to apologize." And I remember this. He was straight up honest because you went on you went on your recruiting visit to East Carolina for the spring game. And we're up there eating, and Kurt is there having lunch with us, talking about East Carolina, how great it is, and all this and that, and, you know, need you to come here. We want you to be a Pirate. And, you know, Holt's there, and, you know, man, it was great. So when we go to Virginia, right after spring, I mean, literally the next week, he's transferring.
Going at Virginia.
And he went to Virginia. So we see Kurt in there, and we talk to him, and he walks up and he says, "Man, I want to apologize. I felt so bad." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, that day we were sitting down there at the spring game, we were having lunch, and I was telling you about how great everything was. I knew I was leaving. And
I remember that.
And, he says, I felt bad, but he says, East Carolina's a great place. It'll always have a special place in my heart, but it was time for me after everything that happened for me to move on.
What could have been.
Yeah, what could have been.
What do you – obviously when Jeff Charles passed away, like you heard all the stories of people with the voice and stuff and like how they made him feel. Like in a way you've kind of had a similar career as him, as like people will grow up and have grown up, even myself, of like hearing your voice and hearing you say that. Like what do you want Pirate Nation to remember you as?
Maybe somebody that really enjoyed watching Pirate football and Pirate basketball and was fortunate enough to be the guy that said, hey, sit in that chair and push the button on the microphone and talk and try to call the game for people and make it exciting. It doesn't happen all the time, and I was blessed that Jim Bass and Matt Maloney way back when said, hey, do it, and said, hey, Morgan, can you come in and fill in these last couple games for us? And I remember, I think it was Terry Holland walked by, and Nick Floyd too. Nick was here at the time, assistant AD, and they walked by the last game. He says, "What you doing next year?" I said, "I don't know." He says, "We'll see you next fall."
That's awesome.
That was it.
I think Pirate Nation. I know Pirate Nation was the ones that were blessed. So thank you for being a role model to me. Obviously, I mean, you, Mom, the brothers, everyone. But thanks for coming on.
Family's important, and been blessed with 4 great kids, and your mom's been blessed with 4 great kids, and it's just you're not bad for a baby boy.
Yeah. I was wondering if that was coming out, guys. That's his nickname for me. I knew that was coming. He had to stick that one in there. Thanks, Pops. Thanks for coming on.
I knew you were going to stick the Pops in here too. But
yeah, that's what I call him too. So thanks for joining, though. I appreciate you.
Thank you, baby boy.
Thanks, Dad. Cut. Okay, we talked about a little bit the news of us coming out of joining the Fifth Quarter Call-In Show. The originator, we sat down with him, of Mr. Local Politics, the guy who facilitated everything. That's all fun and games. It came from Fifth Quarter Call-In Show, and he said the emotions are going to be high. How excited are you for the Fifth Quarter Call-In Show?
Yeah, I'm pumped up. I actually, when I stopped playing football, I was like, after games, especially when we were losing, I was like, what can I lean to?
Yeah.
And I just thought it was so entertaining to listen to the Fifth Quarter Call-In Show with Clip and all that. So I'm excited. It's fun to listen to some of the crazy phone calls. Like, there's crazy moments. So it'll be fun to be a part of that. But I think it's also be fun to give a part of, players' perspectives of going through a loss. Like, I know the fans are upset. I've been part of that. We've lived both of it now. So I think it'll be fun to kind of, relate to some areas that fans see and maybe questions they might have, especially you from being, actually game time, and me being on sidelines, knowing schemes and different plays. So I think it's a different perspective. I know they've had coaches on it in the past, but I'm pumped. I'm pumped to.
It'll be cool, and like I said before, like we're going to be very genuine and very raw, but also we're very smart football-wise. Like that is what I've spoke about it before. Like you taught me a lot in football. You were there through like a lot of the stuff I went through, so you have different point of view of different things. So like I think it'll be perfect because, like you said, we're fans now. I've been a fan my whole life. Like you grew up in North Carolina. Like, we have different viewpoints of different things. Where like we can put on a different hat. We can put on a former quarterback hat, former player hat, but we can also put on a fan's hat and like understand each situation, because it is going to be it's going to be very raw. That's what's special about the Fifth Quarter Call-In Show, though, is like win and loss, like people are calling either way, so we're going to be there to answer the questions. We're also going to talk scheme, though. Look, if you are wrong about something and we know that you're wrong from the scheme, we got to call them out.
You might as well. Maybe people can learn off the Fifth Quarter show this year as well.
So that's exciting news. We have actually a film segment coming to the Holton Ahlers Show this year, and an X's and O board chalk talk segment. So we'll get to some of that, watching the film, explaining that. Maybe something that came from the Fifth Quarter Call-In Show that someone asked about. We'll pull it up on the pod in here. So
you want to know, kind of talking about the Fifth Quarter Call-In Show and local politics.
Yeah.
I can't even believe like your dad today.
Why?
You would be the kingmaker of the whole area, not to admit that he's actually the kingmaker.
I know.
Just sticking to his role.
Maybe next time.
We'll see if there's any other new errors. Maybe they blame you now on the
they probably will.
show.
They probably will.
Or maybe we have a new storyline outside of local politics. It's lasted a while. I'm excited to see.
For sure. Thank you guys for supporting the pod. The guests are going to keep rolling in. Football season is going to be great. Like I said, we have a lot of really fun, exciting segments on the way. Keep supporting us. It's growing. We're pumped. We appreciate you guys. Go Pirates. We'll see you next time.